All right, so oh shit. Don't care. Go away. Yeah, so we can officially begin. So JSON stands for JavaScript Object Notation. The JSON syntax is derived from uh, JavaScript Object Notation syntax, but the JSON format is text or string only. So JSON is a lightweight data format for storing and transporting. It's mostly used when data is sent from a server to a client. It's an easier to use alternative to XML. Frankly, I think XML used to be the thing of the past, right? Because if you look around a bit in some old codes, especially when they are making requests, in fact, even now, so if you might still see this, yeah, XHTML, XML, HTTP requests, and a bunch of stuff about XML. So apparently, data sent used to be XML or something like that. But nowadays, they rather use JSON. Personally, I'm not even sure what XML looks like. From the time I started, JSON had already been very much in use. So JSON, without making it sound weird, is just turning everything to strings. You have an array that looks like this. Um, Let me say 4 and false and this. Okay, let's take this for now. Rice. Right, this is your array. In JSON, it would just look like this, kind of, something like this, kind of. Yeah, same thing for objects too. So let's keep moving on, and we'll see more about it. Okay, so here's an example. There's an object here with a property, users. And users is an array of other objects. That's it. So the above JSON example is not much different from a normal object. Then what is, yeah, this, it doesn't look like it, but this is JSON, right? If we were to create, let me see, example.json, for example, yeah, something like that. It's like we'll have this, and I think we'll users, sorry, users, and in it there's an object, and in this object, sorry, array, and in this array, objects. So this is one of the first things you will notice if you ever tried this, like creating a JSON file like this straight up. You can't, all your properties must use double quotes. I think it's here. Even if you tried single quotes, it will not recognize it. It must be double quotes. And then all will be well. Naturally, even your values to can't be single quotes. Let's say name is rice. It doesn't want to hear that one. All it knows is that everything around must be double quotes. And you can't be doing weird things like this is the only thing in the array, right? The only item in the array, and you go put a comma. No. You have to follow strict rules with JSON. Okay, so I don't know. Let's say name is actually rice. And we have another object where name is beans. Yeah, something like this is JSON. Okay, but if you did like turn something to JSON and look at it in, say, a browser, or yeah, like browser console, it would look you'd notice that it will be wrapped with quotes. This it won't just start off being like this. It will have quotes around it. Okay. So what is the difference? The difference is the key of a JSON object should be with double quotes or it should be a string. JavaScript object and JSON are very similar. That we can easily change JSON to object and object to JSON. So let's see the above example in more detail. Start with a curly bracket. Inside the curly bracket, there's the user's key, which has an array as its value. In the array, we have different objects, and each object has keys. Each keys have to have double quotes. For instance, we used first name instead of just first name. Where was that? Okay, I think the reference is more on the double quotes instead of the weird this M that became uppercase unnecessarily. Okay, however, in objects we use keys without double quotes. So this is the major difference between an object and JSON. This is just another example of that. So, on to the main thing, converting JSON to a JavaScript object. So mostly we fetch JSON data from HTTP response or from a file, but we can store the JSON as a string and we can change to object for sake of demonstration. In JavaScript, the keyword JSON has the parse and stringify methods. Okay, if we want to change JSON to an object, we parse the JSON, JSON.parse. If we want to change an object to JSON, we stringify the object, JSON.stringify. So these two these two methods, you'll find them very common when making API requests. You're sending data to the backend, you would stringify your payload. Say the form data you're sending or something like that, a bunch of things you're sending. You stringify that object and send it. You get data back from the backend. Well, you do parse it, but mostly not with JSON.parse. It's usually done with response.json. It's a different kind of method, Anyway, so yeah, the JSON.parse actually takes in two parameters: the JSON string that should be parsed back to whatever kind of object it was, and an optional reviver function. Most times we don't really use the reviver function. So okay, here's some here's a JSON. What's the reviver for? Okay, most of these things are just for custom cases. You have a particular JSON and you want it to be converted to an object in a specific kind of way. So you can pass that in. Anyway, let's take a look. Yeah. So you see how this looks different from, I don't know, regular objects. It looks more like a string, actually. So this was how they created this JSON manually by creating this object normally, maintaining that JSON, well, I say syntax, where there is double quotes for every key, every string, strict double quotes everywhere, and not making the mistake of putting, say, an unnecessary trailing comma or stuff like that. Yeah, and then wrapping the whole thing with backticks. Okay, so this user's text is basically JSON right now. So we can attempt to you can attempt to parse it. So for now, I think I'll just try to start Crocker on this file. I don't think Crocker should have an issue with JSON. So first of all, hovering over parse, we see what's it called? The parameters it takes. It takes in the string, the JSON string, and then there's this reviver function. And the reviver function now this is strange. It says it's expecting only 2 parameters. But here I'm seeing 3. So what exactly was it for? Okay. In any case, we're going to find out what was up with the 4 when we go back in. But you can see from here, this is how the object looks. Let me change this to something else and see. Make a difference. Okay, so to use the reviver function as a formatter, we put the keys we want to format, first name and last name value. Let's say we're interested in getting just the first name and last name of the JSON data. So we'll pass them in user's text, and then we pass in this formatter. So let's take this formatter. Copy. So const formatter is equal to this. So it takes in the key and the value, and let new value, the type of value is string, and key is not email. Then return value to uppercase, else return value. Okay. And at the end, we're returning new value. So let's have another console log. Const users obj2 is equal to JSON.parse users text and the formatter. Console.log users obj2. Okay. So this is what we have. The first name, the last name are raised to uppercase. Okay. So what this means is over here you have access to the keys and values inside the actual object. And you can do some kind of thing you want to them. So for example, what they did here was, if the key is not email, they wanted to make it uppercase. But if the key is email, then it should be returned just like that. The age didn't get transformed very much because it was digits. So uppercase, lowercase doesn't mean much to it. But let's assume somebody wanted to return only name, first name and last name. What do you think they could change here? Looking at how this went, if somebody wanted to return just first name and last name, what could they change over here? Let's create a new formatter function. Let's call this formatter2. As usual, to take key and value. So what should happen in here? So at the top, you must have enjoyed this very much in school. It's not my fault. Your name is AA, so you can't be escaped. Femi, how far? So what do you think? What do you think we can do in Formatter 2 that would make it return just name? Just first name and last name, and ignore age, age and email. Hello, Femi Blaze.
Yeah, with you. Yeah, I don't understand.
You
I
don't
have
understand.
no.
Okay, you know how objects have keys and values, right? So what this formatter does, you can see how this thing looks, right? The main thing is an object. It has a key, users. Users has a value, this whole array. This array itself also has keys and values. For the first object, the key is 0 and the value is this. Second object, the key is 1, the value is this. Inside this first object, key is first name, value is Asabene, key, last name, value. Objects are just full of keys and values, even if, no matter what they are, whether it's the regular objects you know, whether it's arrays, whether it's sets, maps, they all have that thing, keys and values. So formatter is just going to take key and value and do whatever you want. It's up to you to figure out how to make what you want happen. So just keep it in mind that you just have access to every key and every value inside this object, no matter how deeply nested it is. You have access to it. So you have to write a function that would, I don't know, have that in mind. Here, what they did was just check, is the key string, sorry, is it string and is it email? Is it, okay, why do you think they were checking for this? Does anyone know the
What I
answer to this?
think, what I think is that if you check that, go up. Let me. What is JSON that you wrote?
Yeah.
You see that that user is a string. So that's
Okay.
what they are checking because that is the key. That's what I'm thinking. That's the key. Then the value is what is inside. So if that
Okay.
key,
Let me try removing it.
okay,
So we're getting this value to uppercase is not a function. Can you think of why we're getting this error? Given what I just explained now about keys and values in every kind of object.
Can anyone speak, or are you directing it to someone?
anyone can speak.
Anyone can speak.
Okay, I think it's because there's the possibility of having a data type amongst the values that is not a string. So uppercase is a string.
Okay. Okay. But in that case, look at this age and the value 250. 250 is a number. Number dot to uppercase. I don't think should really throw that much of an error. Let's try it somewhere else. We have a number here. So. Yeah, it's not really going to work, but
Do you have Coca on this one?
yeah, I'm seeing this.
Mm-hmm.
So why am I not seeing this? Is my spelling weird now? T and C. And this line did run. Well, in any case, calling to uppercase on a number uh, doesn't throw an error. So the problem is not coming from this first name or last name or age or email or even users. It's from somewhere else. Can you figure out where it is coming from? Anybody? Jane? Josephine? Uh, Isayomi? Where? Somebody? Okay.
So,
I did say it. Okay. Yeah, yeah. Let's try. Let's hear it.
what's the question? I didn't get this last question.
Okay, look over here. There used to be this type of uh, okay, key and value. We have these two things, and then they are checking for type of value is equal to string and key. So if the value of any key is string and the key is not email, then make that value uppercase. Else just return the value like that or leave the value like that. So I'm asking why did they feel the need to do this when these ones what's it called? This is string, this is string, this is number, this is string, and these four trying to uppercase them will not cause any trouble.
Because I just think because they are not JSON, everything is not string.
Because they are now JSON, everything is now string. Okay, let's create another one and see something. Copy. So this will be const users array is equal to this. Is this. So this is another JSON. Okay. So where do I use this now? Let's say users. So here I used it. So users array. Okay, I was hovering on the wrong place. Yeah, this is what we're getting, right? We're now getting this array of objects. So once again, I'll try to remove this thing. And we're getting this. Even if earlier you could have said users was a key and this value was, an array to uppercase doesn't work. Now, we don't have any users something. There's just this array, and inside it, the visible keys you can see are first name, last name, age, email. You see, these are the visible values or the clear values you're seeing. And none of these, using to uppercase on any of these values, is not supposed to throw an error. But why are we still seeing this error? Value to uppercase is not a function. We're only checking that in all the keys inside this JSON string that we're trying to format, if any key is not email, apply this to uppercase method to the value. Why is this happening? It's something I have actually said some time ago. So no one has the answer. I mentioned that every object, even if it doesn't look like an object, has keys and properties. Arrays have keys and values, keys and values. This is a value inside this array. The key of this is its index, 0. So this is an object. Just running this as it is, if key is not email, then value to uppercase, value dot to uppercase. 0 is a key, and this is the value. 0 is not equal to email. So it's going to try to raise this to uppercase. Let me try something. So this is 52. Hopefully 52 should show up here. Key is not email. What's the key? So like this one that had the error, it's not really showing up. I was hoping it would eventually show up, but it didn't. Anyway, this is how do we make this thing show up now? Okay, I get it. I think I get it. I'll return this to the way it was, but we'll try to console log all keys. Okay, so you see 0, 1, 2. Do you guys notice this?
Yes.
Yeah, so that's from the array. So always keep it in mind that it's not just the objects. I mean, yeah, the objects that visibly have keys, that actually have keys. The arrays that you know to just have indexes, those indexes are also keys. So at least keep that in mind. So anyway, we have this formatter too. we want to do something to it. We want to make sure that it's in the objects it's returning, it's not going to return age or email. It should only return first name and last name. How do you think we can do it?
I'm thinking that
Yeah.
we should do it like the way we used to do object. Like if you go up now, you see that you go up. Let me see the name of the. Is I'm thinking we'll say user name, users array. We'll do a template literal this thing. You say return a template literal of user dot first name in one in the brackets that of the curly braces. Then you put another curly braces and say user dot last name. Do you understand?
Okay.
And say return. Just type what I want to say. Return dot
Dot.
no backtick, yes, backtick. Then you now put dollar sign. Then you now put curly braces. Oh yes, like
Okay.
that. Then you now say user dot that user array. Is it user array?
Okay, is user array.
And like the way you want to do an
Users array.
object. User array dot last name first name. Then you do another dollar sign curly braces and say you you put space. You put space. Then yes, another yes. You now put user array dot last name. I don't know. That's what I think it should be.
Okay, we're getting undefined because users array is an array, not an object. So let me add this so that it's looking at the first item.
Hello?
Is he here? Okay. So one thing we should keep in mind is that this formatter is kind of like a, you know how callback functions in arrays work. Those higher order functions like filter or map, the same function gets applied everywhere. So in objects are full of keys and values. So this formatter is going to be applied everywhere that it sees a key and value. Let's go back to formatter. Yeah, so everywhere it sees a key and a value, and you can see how often it sees keys and values, just like everywhere. So wherever it sees a key and value, it would so we need to make something that should apply everywhere. So every time it meets a key, it's going to want to return the value. So what do you want to do to that value is the question. So again, we could say something like let new value equal to There's this thing. Let's say something const num is equal to 0. No. And const text is equal to a, something like this. Number dot okay, sorry, it's not a number. And text. Oh, sorry, not this, not this. Okay, I think I still get it. Number, no, get true. But if we did this for num, yeah, we get false. I know it's a little lengthy, but let me duplicate this. So if we just had these, if you turn text to a number, you get none. But if you turn this 0 to a number, you get 0. Even though it's in string, if you put anything 8, as long as it's originally a number, you get this. So you could use this combination to find out if a string is actually, a valid number inside. We added y here, it returns to none as well. Have you seen something like this before?
I understand what you are trying to write.
Okay.
But what I don't understand is where I got lost. Sorry, I got a call. Line 57. You said that you wanted to make all the first name and last name to show.
Yeah.
So I now did this. I did the user array dot first name. Now said that is not a. You said it's not an object. That is an array. I think that was why.
That's true, Seth. Using okay, using users array. Users array is actually a string. Actually, I forgot about this. Users array is a string.
Okay.
Let's try this. This thing mentioned. I think if we remember from our this keywords, console.log this. Oh, I can't use this as a property name. Um, DHIS. Still getting an error somewhere. Oh,
You say user array is a string, right?
yes.
How can a string now have value? I don't understand. Is it not a variable?
How can a string have what?
Go back to the is it the JSON that you write? Is it does everybody understand? Because me, I don't understand this thing that we're doing now. I'm just trying to flow. This user dot array is a variable now.
Yeah, this is it's a string.
Okay, the whole of it is a string. Okay, good. So okay, so you now said that you just want only the first name and the last name of each of the object to show. Have you?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, continue from there. So that's where I know. So and I said user array dot first name. You now said that is not an object. B.
How did you write it that time?
He said user's array is an array.
Yeah, that was a mistake on my part. That was a mistake on my part. It's actually just a string. So this zero I put here was pointless.
But it
And also
worked.
trying to access. No, it didn't really work. We go undefined.
Ah,
Undefined, yeah.
okay.
Yeah, it didn't really work. I think there's something I'm missing. So let's move on for a bit and find what that is. Because
Okay. So okay, it did
something
not work.
something is weird here. Yeah, something is weird here. This reviver is supposed to have three things, but the first one is not really showing up. So anyway, let's put a pin in this extra part of the formatter. Yeah.
Okay, no problem.
So for now, let's just keep in mind two things: key and value. And this formatter is like a callback that is used in, say, arrays, for example. So everywhere this JSON.parse meets a key and a value pair, is going to run this formatter on it. And you can, from what we've seen earlier, you've seen that the keys are not limited to just these ones. Array keys are also present too. Okay.
Okay. Okay. So if you say anywhere it sees key and value, it will run the formatter. In
Yeah.
that case, so we have an array now. You know that the key is the index
Yeah.
and the value is what is whatever. Let's go back so that I want to understand that thing.
Okay.
The up on where you wrote the string that of the yes. Okay, the value now will be this this first object.
Yeah.
Okay, so zero will be key, but this first object will be value.
Yes.
Abi?
Zero will be the
So
key and this object will be the value.
okay, in that case, so you said that if the key is, you said if the type of the value is a string. You remember when you said that?
Yeah.
So now, and okay, I want to understand that first statement. The type of the value here is this object, right?
Yeah, for the key 0, the value is this object.
Object. Okay, this object is it a string?
No, it's not a string.
So but you know that the type of was if
Look at it.
you know that if
Type
it's
of
a
value is
string,
string.
it's not a string.
No,
And
if type of value is string and
yes,
key is not email.
and it means that type of value was not a string, was an object. The type
Yeah.
of value was an object, and also the key is not an email, it's index, it's number.
The key is not equal to email, is equal to 0 in a string.
Yes, 0. So in this case now,
This
it's
one will
not
be
equal
false,
to
this one will be true. And
so you
because
know
of
what,
and,
everything will be false.
everything will be false. It is just going to
So,
display value.
okay, so that was why you were displaying what was already there. Like when you say value, I want to understand
Yeah.
the
Yeah,
object,
value is that, yeah. So it's going to
which is
still bring in that key, 0. And this line is just asking, is just trying to make a change to what, whether the value should be tampered with before being assigned to that key or not.
okay. So in this case now that we try to analyze the value that it will return now will be the objects, all the objects. Abi?
This one,
I'm trying to understand. No, not where you have that condition now.
okay,
So what it will return now, will be
yeah,
all the values that are the object, nothing change.
yeah.
What did you now do that now change something to uppercase?
Let's look at last name, for example, right? The value is equal to string. The type of value is equal to string. So this is true. And the key is not equal to email. So this is true. True and true is true. So this would happen.
Okay, are you saying now that this thing will enter the object and work on it? Because what I was thinking was that the value here is just an object.
Look at formatter 2. Remember how I said that this formatter is going to run every time JSON.parse meets a key and value pair, right? The formatter is just basically a, what do they call that? A callback function.
Okay.
Yeah, remember that? Okay. So now, formatter is being run, and I'm console-logging key every time. So first key, first name, last name, age, email, the entire array. Well, like the entire first item in the array. You get?
Okay.
This zero is a key inside the array for the first item in the array. Yeah, so this is the plenty of times that it's going to meet key value pairs.
I was thinking the value pair, since the value is an object, it's not going to enter inside now. Or what you are saying that it's going to still enter the object and work on it like the way it sees a normal key value pair. That's what I'm seeing now.
Yes.
Okay. Trying to.
Okay, let's. Yeah, key and value, right? So we have key, first name, value is Asabene. Key, last name, value is Yetaye. Key, age, value is 250. Key, email, value is this email. Key, 0, value is this object. And we continue again. Yeah, so these are the key and value pairs. So if you look at it like this, it checks the value first. Value, type of value is string, and then key is not equal to email. Both conditions are true. So it's going to do this.
But I was thinking this first one, is it not an object that was there?
Which one?
This first one, this first
First name.
no. when you did that user array, right? Users
Yeah.
array. If you go there, I'm thinking that the first item on that array is 0. The first item, which is the
Okay,
first,
I get what you mean. I get what you mean. You are expecting the first thing to be 0. Like it should see the
yeah,
item
0, which
inside
is
the
the
array
key.
before now entering
Which,
inside. Yeah, this
uh,
formatter things, whether the formatter for passing JSON or the formatter for passing or for stringifying JSON, for stringifying objects to JSON, it doesn't go as serially as you think. So all you can bank on is that it's eventually going to touch everything. They like Sapa, it will touch everywhere last, but you cannot say to start from here and get to here for sure. I don't know if
okay.
you get what I'm saying. Yeah, the main thing you are sure is that it's going to go around, but the fact that it's starting from inside the first object, inside the first value, instead of starting looking at this one as the first pair.
Because from what I'm seeing on your output, this second object is not 0. Is 0, which is 1, which is the first item of the
Item.
array.
Yeah.
This second one, not the first one. The first one, it was working on the first one like a normal object, as if that's just. I don't know if I'm making sense.
No. That first, this is Asabene Yetaye, right? Let me
Uh,
see. Where was the key and value pair? That's the first object now. Asabene Yetaye 250 is. But at this
okay,
point, it has
okay,
already converted the values to.
okay. So this, okay, I'm trying to understand what the up one means and what the. Okay, okay.
Yeah, so it seems if it's. Let's go do this in this user's obj actually. Where is this one? Format. Okay, let's do this here. User text, right? Okay, user's
Mm,
text
mm,
formatter. So
mm.
let's look here. Am I missing something? Okay. Okay, I'm not really missing something. Yeah, after all, it was the same thing. So, hey, you see this one now? See where it even started from. It started again from first name. This is the object. Okay, inside this object, there's a key, users. Users is an array, and stuff. And inside this array, there is first name. But yeah, it's here it started from. It started from inside here. That was the first key and value pair.
Um, it's so okay. I think I'm understanding. I
Yeah.
understood that one.
Then the whole array, and then the second item in the array, third item in the array, and then
So
it
when
now
he got
users.
when he got to this, okay, that's why the
It
age
seems it
age
starts from
because,
inside. It starts from inside and starts coming out.
because that I noticed that the age dot 28 did not change. It just returned it the way it is because it's not a string.
Yeah. So it doesn't meet both values. The
Yes,
type of
okay.
value is not string. Yeah. So
It's not an
this has failed. So it will just return the value like that.
okay. I understand.
Yeah. So for these JSON formatters, don't count on them to behave the way you expect. To start from where you want them to start from. Just know that it will touch everywhere, sure.
Okay, I think I understand this one a bit now. Okay.
Okay. Sorry. The thing I was thinking of, that whole display only username and first name and last name. It wasn't for JSON.parse, it was for JSON.stringify. You can't completely delete a key and value pair when you're passing it. You get everything. You may turn some things to something else, like how we adjusted first name and last name to be uppercase. But you can't make them not to show up at all. That was my mistake. That was my mistake. It's actually happening here in JSON.stringify. The replacer, the first one was the formatter function. This one is a replacer function. Okay, anyway, we've looked at JSON.parse, so let's look at JSON.stringify, converting objects to JSON. So the stringify method takes one parameter and two optional parameters. The replacer is used as a filter, and the space is indentations. So if we don't want to filter out any of the keys from the object, we can just pass undefined. Yeah, that's why this was looking weird, because this looks just how you would expect the stringify this thing to be. The object, the replacer function, and then spaces. So this for is actually quite useless in JSON.parse. Okay, so remember this: object, replacer, space. So let's copy this object, and then we're going to try this. So let me delete this formatter too. It was just wasn't what we expected. Okay, so we've got this. JSON.stringify undefined and 4. Okay, I think even from here we can see it. You can see how much space is showing up here, how much space is showing up here, how much space is showing up here. It's like this space is double of this space, right? So this one,
Yes.
this is the 4, this one is 8, this one is 12. If there's something nested even more, it'll be greater. So let me make this 1, and we'll see how far. So at least spaces should make sense to you guys very easily at this moment. Does it?
Yeah.
When you put one, the spaces are all even now. They are the same.
No, they're not. They're not even. They're not even.
Mm.
This is the highest one. There's 1. This one is 2
Why
because
is
it's
it
inside.
becoming two?
Why is it 2?
Mm.
Alex is an object. Is a key for an object. Email, skills. These are all inside Alex. So naturally, the indentation for email and skills is going to be double that of Alex. See what I mean? See Alex. We had this space in front of Alex, but for email is inside Alex, so it's going to get more indentation. And then skills. If we were to open this up, you see where it's starting from now. That's what's happening in the JSON. This one gets whatever spacing you put. Anything indented more gets double of that. The next one gets triple. If there's something else more indented, times 4, like that.
Okay. So the replacer is the cover
It's the
function.
undefined. Yeah, but if you don't want, you can just put undefined.
Okay.
Yeah. So this is what happens when you don't put space at all. I'm sure most of you have seen something like this. When you get what do they call that? You get, let me show you what I mean. REST countries is the best place to find that. No, I don't want. Show me the raw thing. Yes. not getting much bigger. Okay. So you see how this is. This
Mm.
is this thing without any spaces. It will just show up like this. So I guess the people that made this extension, this is an extension that is making it look like this. The people that made this extension, I don't know, Edge. I don't think I should have that on Edge. So let me take this and try running it in Edge. Yeah, I already have this extension in Chrome, so it just caught it immediately and is doing that. This one also has its own. It's like Edge has it by default. It's already formatting it. So I think what it does is just to add spaces. But if you see, I wish I can turn this in. Why are all these things having this thing? These guys probably don't have it. Correct, guys. This is how it would look without space. But the moment you add spaces, it begins to format itself to look nicely, like all these other ones have been looking. So I guess you now see the value of space in your JSON. Of course, for most, you will only need the space in the JSON if you are creating the JSON for humans to look at. But if you're creating it for computers to look at, it's pointless, really. It's not like putting the space is going to make it read it any better. To read it just the same.
Okay. So that stringified now is to convert
An
the
object to JSON.
object to JSON. Then the PS is to convert JSON to objects.
So yeah. So let's look for an example of a replacer function. Okay, it's not really about replacer function, but replacer array. So what this does is that it's only going to display values for these keys. So first, for now, we can, let me put this back. So for now, we can see how the JSON looks. We're seeing the main objects. We're seeing Alex, ASAP, Brooke, blah, 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 blah. So let's put in our array. We start with the array being empty and look at our stringified JSON. Nothing is there. If we say we want to see ASAP, suddenly we're seeing only ASAP with nothing inside. Okay, what other things are there? There was email, skills, age is logged in. So let's say email, age. So we have ASAP with email, age. So it's a little annoying and troublesome to use the replacer function because you literally have to list out everything that you want to see. And even if we said skills, yeah, this is cool. Even if we said skills, I don't think we'll see anything inside skills. Oh, we did see the whole thing. I thought it would try and be crazy and not show items inside the array because we didn't put 2 or 3. But we did, that's fine. That's lovely. So yeah, that's that for replacer arrays. So formatter function, replacer arrays. Well, most times, you wouldn't really need this. Most times that you do stringify, you are just stringifying the whole thing. But it's still fun to keep it in mind that there's a way for you to shorten items. Like, yeah. So I think that's the end of this JSON class. It's just stringify and parse, really.
But the thing is that let me be honest. This
Yeah.
thing is looking so abstract. Like I don't really see the relevance.
The relevance of this. Actually, the thing I would say you don't see the relevance of, or at least, well, for me, is the replacer function and the filter, the formatter function and replacer filter array. These ones, I've never had a reason to use them. But as for stringify and parse, you definitely will.
So is it that when you open? Because I used to see when you open, was it React? I saw the day I went to open React, I saw a JSON file. Is it that
Yeah.
you will be saving all your JSON? I don't understand the thing. I'm trying to
Okay, okay,
understand.
okay. We're going to be moving a little forward now. We're really supposed to do this now, but to give you that idea of why we need it, let's just do this a little bit. This JSON placeholder. So JSON placeholder is a free fake REST API. So let's go look at it. Remember how I said that when you're making requests, through API, you'll mostly be using JSON methods a lot, right? Yeah, posts. Okay. So okay, I need to increase this one too. This is their main link. What we're doing now is something we would have been doing in a further lesson, probably tomorrow or next. Const make posts is equal to async. So I'm trying to make a function that should make a request, or make a post request to that JSON placeholder database to post something. So const response is equal to and we have the URL, which is this, and then an object that has a bit of extra things. I didn't want to do this because I know you start asking me lots of questions, but in any case, body. So what should a post look like? Let's go see how posts look like so we can see what we're expected to give them. So a post is supposed to have user ID of the post, title of the post, and body. These four things. So let's make a post. Const post is equal to, imagine you had a form for this, right? Or something like that. You have a blog site and a user made a post. The user has an ID of I don't know, blah, 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 blah. This is the ID. And they're making a post, sorry, a post of blah, blah, blah. Okay, let's make something nicer. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 6, 5, 6. Okay, and the title of their blog post is how to use JSON. And the body of their post is, I wish you could use lorem ipsum, but you can't. So we're going to do it in here then. Always ways. Lorem 40. Let's see. Evidence. Wow, should I make it shorter? Okay, so we have this. This is the post that a user made. This crazy user made this post that has this ID. And we want to send it over to this, what do we call it? To this API. I think this is slash posts. Okay, so now we are not going to carry this post like this and send to them. No, we have to stringify it first. So just on the stringify your post. That's that. Okay, I think we want to add some headers. Not like it's super necessary or something. Content type. Application JSON. Okay. So we get this response. Let's console log the response. Now, you know, let's do this over here. Day 16, because Coca is not going to run this because of that fetch and stuff. I think Coca has an issue with those. Okay, so make post. Sorry, let me try and comment out all these other things. Okay, it actually did. All right, so we see a response. But now the response is not going to look very nice to the eyes. So usually we do something else. Cons data is equal to response.json. But this needs to be awaited because it's going to return this. So once more, I know this would probably make more sense if you were seeing it, I don't know, in a more visual way. But for currently, what this means now is that it worked. We sent this post to this API. It's just that their data does not persist. They don't keep data in the database. So it's not like we can go online and we'll see this thing we just added. Now they just accept your request and that's it. So for us to have made this post, we had to stringify um, the object that we're sending over to them. That's fine. And that's how it works. We got a response. Now, this .json method, I know it's not among the JSON.parse or JSON.stringify that we talked about. It does do some kind of parsing, but it's a specialized method that works on responses, like response that you get from, making requests. So that's why it's not talked about when we are treating JSON, because the actual JavaScript JSON object only has parse and stringify. And this one is not really a JSON method. It's true that it does do JSON stuff, but it's a method for responses. Most requests that happen nowadays is JSON that is being transferred. You send JSON, you receive JSON. But there are actually some methods, some endpoints in some backends that don't return JSON. They return text. They return strings. So in those cases, you would have to do response.text. Now it's going to fail, Sha, because I expect this to fail because the response we're getting is not text. Sometimes it will be response.data. If they send something like a picture, a blog, that kind of thing. But most of the time, you will see response.json. And blah, 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 you should get a response like this. Okay, yeah, you see, ID has changed. I think, yes, ID has changed. So at least this way we can tell that something happened. Here I wrote an ID of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, it seems I shouldn't have written ID. Since they don't quite accept, they only take user ID, title, and body. But you can see the response that they sent to me has a different ID, 101. So with this, you can see that we did make a request to that server, and they returned the response to me. This 201 means created. So this is one of the, uses of stringify. As for parse, when do we really need to use parse? I know there are situations that call for it. I guess they are a little rarer. But anyway, I do hope you see the point of the stringify at least.
Just I'm trying to relate it with what I've already known. I'm not still getting, but maybe let me not rush things. Or does anybody understand that? I don't, because I know when you say this JSON now. What comes to mind is you are turning a string to an object. To you are changing an object to a string.
Oh yeah. I have one. You've heard of local storage, right?
Local storage, no.
Yeah, tomorrow we're even doing it. We're doing web storages. So local storage is a storage in the browser. Let's just use like 5 minutes to do that.
Is it? Am I the only one that is here?
No.
No,
No.
right here.
So look at
You
this
really
object
don't
now.
understand.
Look at this object. Wait, just calm down. Look at this object. Users, right? It's an object with a bunch of things inside. Okay. Mm, at the end of this, we could say the local storage. Okay. Yeah, Coca is going to complain, so we'll be looking at it in the browser. How do I turn off Coca now? Okay, stand up. Window.localstorage.set item. Okay, and let's say we set it as data. I want to set data to users. Okay. So index.html is using day 16. Let's run this and go look at local storage there. So to go to local storage, you inspect, and over here, application. And you can see local storage. So you select the site you're on and blah, blah, blah. So for now, let me wipe everything. It's there and refresh this page. And we see data. But do you see the value of data? Remember, what this does, local storage is just like an object. You know, you keep items, you remove items, you can view items in there. So you need a key to use and store some values. So we are saying add a key called data and give it this value. Okay? But now, do you see the value that is showing in here?
Object.
Hello?
I can
Okay.
hear
And
you.
when do you get object? You get objects when you do this. Console.log string users. Remember, users is an object, right? Yeah. If you use toString method or string constructor to try to force an object to become a string, that is what you will see. That object. Let's go look at the console log. That was line 134, it should be. Yes, 134. You see object.
Okay.
That's also why we don't send objects, in requests when you're making like a post request to an API, because what can be transferred is strings. So you need to convert whatever object or array you're sending to become a string. And using the string constructor or toString method is just going to return this. So JSON was created to, reliably convert annoying things like objects to strings. Of course, arrays will not really pose much trouble, I think. Arrays easily convert themselves to strings. But all the same, it's still, if you just turn it to string, you will not be able to get it back with JSON.parse. But using JSON is very nice because you convert it to JSON, you can get what you put back. Okay? So now that we've said that, what do we do to these users to reliably make it a string that we can still use later on? Anybody?
Stringify.
Yeah, how do we do that?
Is it just JSON or stringify?
So let's we want to do the
So what am I writing?
no somebody JSON does stringify users.
JSON that stringify users. Okay, so I'm going to remove this console log for now. Put it back in a short while. So application, and then we see this. And you see how in this data place, you can actually look inside it properly, open this object and blah, blah, blah. It's looking like how you normally see things in the console, right?
Yeah.
That's one of the uses of JSON. Now imagine you've stored this thing in here. At some point later you come and say, yeah, I want to see this object. I want to get it. I want to see what it looks like. So we say const returned data is equal to window local storage dot get item. This is we're actually doing tomorrow's work today. Data, because we want to get the item, the value of the data key. And so we console log that. Returned data. So we go to the console, we're seeing returned data. But look at it, doesn't it look weird? Yes, hello?
It does. It
It
does.
does look weird because it's a
It
string.
does.
It does
Yeah.
look weird because it's a string. So we need to turn it back from being a string. And how do we do that?
You parse. You parse.
We parse. Okay, so how do you parse? How do you parse?
And you go to that place where you wrote data down. You put JSON dot pass the data.
No. Remember, return data is all of this. This is return data. You will not go to a part of this and be doing JSON.parse.
We pass the return data.
You pass the return data. Okay, so let's say const actual data is equal to what?
Return data dot pass. No, JSON. Is it JSON dot pass return data?
I don't know.
It's
Should I
JSON
make
dot
it
pass.
JSON dot pass.
JSON.parse. Okay,
Return data.
return data. So that means I'll be writing actual data here. Okay, and now we see this. Isn't that nice?
And data arranged.
Better arranged. So I hope you have seen a use for parse and stringify. Storing
Yeah.
things in local storage is a very common thing for front-end developers. So even would I say even especially if you're doing vanilla JS like HTML, CSS, JavaScript, you use this a lot. For people that do React, they may use some global state managers like Redux or whatever that would behind the scenes still be using that local storage, but they will not allow it. Of course, you can still access the local storage yourself and keep things there, but such is life. So I think today we've come to the end of today now, right? Jason was fun, was enough. Nobody's saying anything.
Yes.
Be like,
It'd be like just the play.
Just can I ask?
Just the
All this,
play.
you
Hello, good
saw
evening.
maybe because okay.
Yeah. Who was that?
Goodness, hello.
Okay,
goodness.
yeah, how far?
I'm fine, thank you. Please, I just want to say the class, how soon will it be uploaded so I can catch up? I settled in very late from work, like I'm just joining now. So I want to just
How
use this
soon?
midnight to watch to catch up. Or what topic was taught?
It's Jason that was taught.
Okay, okay. Okay, I'll go through it while I wait for the video. But will it be uploaded today or tomorrow? After tomorrow?
This night is possible, sure. When the gen comes on, because I
Okay.
need to
Oh,
convert it, and Sniper is not being very helpful right now. So
okay, no problems. I'll wait till whenever. Thank you very much.
welcome. So see you tomorrow, guys.
Please, could you,
Yes.
when are we going to be doing application of all these things that we're learning, sir?
All these things that we're learning. Okay,
Because it's
that's a
getting
that's a good question. No, no, really, it's a good question. You see, a lot of the things that we're learning, right? Um, Essentially, yeah, a lot of the things that we're learning will be used later on. So what we have left, tomorrow is web storages. The other one is promises, closures. At this point, the training has kind of finished. This one, writing clean codes, you can tell from the name, is just about standards. Okay. So at this point, the training has finished. So here is now more of application, even though you still be learning stuff, sure. But this day 21 is dumb. It's pretty much for front-end developers. Um, Looking at the document object model, trying to make changes to your HTML and its associated CSS with JavaScript. So the DOM, manipulating the DOM, event listeners, and then for real, everything don't finish. And so project, project, right? So this is actually where you put everything to use. Now, when we start looking at the DOM, you begin to understand why you had to learn about objects, why you had to learn about arrays, why you had to learn about loops, conditionals, because then you'll be doing a bunch of things. Okay, I'm looking at how do you get um, an element, among the midst of all the in the midst of all the elements in the page. How do you settle on one? You use methods. You learned about methods in objects and functions. Objects are just functions that are, sorry, methods are just functions that are inside objects. You want to get a bunch of, let's say you have a bunch of elements that have the same class name, and you are getting all of them. Somehow, that's an array. There's a way you do it, you actually get an array. Another way, it's something that looks like an array. You want to do the same thing to everywhere. That's either higher order functions or loops. You want to say, okay, do something to some of them, but only if they are like this. That's conditional. You want to say, okay, this thing is probably a string. How do I make it to be some other way? Data types and those manipulations in there. All these things that you've been learning, it will now that's when you now start being applying them. Later on, you say you want to make requests to do some things. I mean, you have some data stored somewhere. You want to see how you can use JavaScript to get that data and fill up your page. And we use promises, we use JSON, error handling, arrays, a bunch of other things. Okay. So yeah, that's the annoying thing about JavaScript really. There's a lot to learn, or I think programming languages as a whole. HTML, CSS were fairly straightforward because as you are learning, you're applying it immediately. It's not
Yes,
looking
yes.
strange. But JavaScript, there's a lot you have to know before you actually get to applying it. And that's why you need to be frequenting code wars. Because in code wars, you don't have to wait till you get to done before you start applying your knowledge. Right there and then, they give you problems you can solve with just the JavaScript you know. There's this and this happening. Okay, how do you use objects and arrays to make it work? Figure it out yourself. So as you're asking me this question, it's telling me that you're not going to code wars very well, because if you are going there, you'll not be asking me this question. You could already see
No, the thing is,
ways.
no, even those code word self is abstract.
It's
I'm
abstract.
not
Yeah,
really
you're
enjoy.
looking for the crazy ones now. Why are you going to look for the crazy ones?
No, the thing is, it's not to me. I just the reason I say ask this thing to the enter website. I won't build make I like the way the Raja do the last class that we did on HTML and
Okay.
CSS. As
Okay.
you are building, you are seeing okay, this is how they did this part to make it look like this, to make it function like this. You get it's more
Um,
some it's tangible. But
it's
now I'm just
tangible.
learning and learning and learning. But maybe
Okay.
let me just be patient,
You
sha.
you want us to do code,
Because
Yeah.
even all those code words too, it's still abstract to me.
you want us to do
I've not seen the application yet.
You've not seen the application of it.
No. How does it
Okay.
apply to the page that I'm building?
Okay. That's fine. That's fine too. It's true that a lot of those questions, a lot of those problems, they are abstract. But the thing is that somebody has probably encountered some of those problems in their whatever they are doing. Anyway, people that do interviews with me, I like to drop them, will I say, realistic kind of questions. I don't really come to code wars a lot because I have to admit it's true that it does look abstract. So I rather a lot of times I'll ask them to show me what they've done and I'll find some problem in there. So as you are waiting to see how you can use your JavaScript in the HTML, say the front ends you are building, I do hope you are building front ends, because it's when you have front ends that you'll be able to apply your knowledge in those front ends. You understand what I'm saying?
Oh, listen. Okay.
So there was this guy now, that day self, that I was trying to do that Firebase lesson. There were a few people that dropped some of their works. There was one very, very fine work, like it was like a Facebook page clone. It was really fine, but it was done with HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and there was no use of like JavaScript arrays. You know, something like that. A Facebook page now is full of repetitions, as in, will I say patterned repetitions. For example, you have a post. The post was made by somebody. It was posted on some date. It has a picture. It has text. It has the people that have liked it. It has, a bunch of regular information that you could say, I can take this information and make it into an object, and then make an array and put plenty of objects in it, and then look through this array and be displaying posts based on what is inside the objects. Does that make sense?
Okay.
Yes.
Ehen. So you see that kind of situation now. I will probably try and yeah, Bashir, what's up?
okay, me, I want to ask like a personal question. Like on
Yes.
the average, how many times do you get to use like pure vanilla JavaScript, like daily, like maybe tasks that you get at work? It's not okay. Do you like you understand what I'm saying? That maybe it's not like the tasks that you're doing is not like framework, how do you call it, framework. And you say, okay, do something. Yeah. How often are we even going to be using
It doesn't
JavaScript?
matter
Just
what
ask.
you're writing. It doesn't matter what you're writing, whether you're writing Angular or Vue or React. It's true that they have some, will I say, specialized codes like for React or Angular or Vue or whatever. But at the end of the day, you go still write your regular JS in there. Except what you are doing is not tough enough. You're not really solving problems there. You're just doing basic display of UI. But if there's going to be some functionality, you go write function. If you're writing functions, you are messing around with things, messing around with different data types, playing with objects, arrays, all those things you are trying to do in code wars or something. People that I normally give date challenges a lot because you'll be surprised how many functions you need to write for dates. Because people, they will always be displaying dates in funny ways, designers. Today you see dates looking like only day and month. Tomorrow it's day and month and year. Or you are trying to check, is this time 30 minutes ahead of that time? Or has it passed 2 years? Little things like this.
So equal to what I just asked. So if you know, let's say now that your intention is 30 days of JavaScript, topic by topic, like sincerely everywhere, and you kind of need to framework. Are you being too forward, or you're actually meant
Okay,
to
you're saying you complete this now, get to the end of the
this
30
now,
days, and then enter a framework.
just enter a framework that you know, yes, eventually finish JavaScript. Are
Yes,
you
now
being
that's
too
the
forward, or
advisable thing. That's the advisable thing because just hanging on to this knowledge, um, maybe try building one vanilla project before you move on. Okay, find something a little challenging as vanilla, build it and move on because people are not going to really ask you for your vanilla projects to display as portfolio something or as what they used to say, you deserve this job or something like that. There are most of the times everybody's writing frameworks, but then in frameworks you're still going to do JavaScript, like the JavaScript you know and love. So just do something a little bit to gain some experience in that regular JavaScript, in actually using it to solve problems while building, and then immediately rush to play. Don't stay in JavaScript. Don't say my JavaScript I've not done too much of it and remain there. Go to framework
personally,
immediately.
sorry to cut it off. If you have to build like a site with HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, I'm looking at the only one this in one journal tutorial that I know we use JavaScript a lot. But personally, how many JavaScript did you write on that HTML and CSS application that will make you start to yes, using enough JavaScript? Like I'm looking at the instance, except you are calling, maybe you are fetching an API or something. But if you are like actually using JavaScript to like make the site interactive, why not just like use it's still JavaScript, but why not just use like a framework instead of actually trying to manipulate DOM and doing all those things yourself? That's what me I'm thinking. As you said, if you know enough JavaScript, just do one or two.
Edward, sorry, before you answer him, can you try to paraphrase his question? Because I'm finding it difficult to hear him, and I think some other persons too are
You're
struggling.
going low,
Okay.
Agbasha.
Okay. I
Okay,
said
okay.
when you are done learning this, that it's good to try your hands with at least one regular vanilla JS project, right? Something a bit challenging and something that actually involves some JS before moving on to a framework. So he's asking if eventually in that framework you're still going to write, do some JS manipulation in there, then why then do you need to do one vanilla project before moving on? Why not just immediately after here jump into framework? That's still fine too. But having that knowledge, having that experience of doing DOM manipulation is still good because it's not every time in React that you avoid doing DOM manipulation. It's true that um, it doesn't happen that much, right? Most of the times you use refs to get whatever you're doing or use some other React way to avoid actual DOM manipulation. But it's not like 100%. Maybe there's that 5% of the time, 1% of the time that you still need to do DOM manipulation. And there's that um either way, it's still alright. You go still see either way. Either way is fine. Whether you want to do one small one before you jump into framework or just go into framework direct, it's all good. The main issue is don't waste time before you go into framework. Don't say you've not learned enough JS and so you're waiting to learn enough. You can't learn enough JS. Just go to framework because it's from there that your experience will really start counting. They will not really consider your time before framework. It's your framework time that really counts. So as soon as you can, go into frameworks.
So which React course that is very beginner friendly for React?
Very
But what I saw on
beginner friendly.
YouTube,
Honestly, I don't know.
what I saw on
Try
YouTube, I just felt like as if I don't know what I'm doing. Like
I don't know.
you can try
Screen Barbie.
screen
But
back.
is it
screen
not
back.
paid? Is it not paid?
No. Yeah, no, it's free. They are beginner.
Okay.
They are
Okay, they are
intro to
beginners. Okay, then I think that's fine. I've been hearing of Screen by a lot.
Okay.
friendly.
Sorry, please, Edward. When you said, I don't know, you said you asked somebody if the person was actually building front end, or I don't know if it was just a random talk you mentioned. What do you mean by hope you're actually building front end? Is there something like not building front end or a casual building of front end?
Oh, no, I meant I hope you are doing things with HTML, CSS. Let's say building a landing page somewhere, a building maybe just a to-do that is not functional yet because obviously you need JavaScript to make it functional. But
Okay.
last, I hope you are doing things so that later on, when you want to apply this your JavaScript knowledge, it's not that time you will start building the UI that you will use your JavaScript knowledge on. You would have a bunch of things
Interesting.
aside.
Wow.
You just go and make them functional.
Wow. Okay. I feel like you just brought a revelation. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Sorry, bro, my own question is related to like what's the difference between, should I say what's the difference, or when do you know when to apply OOP and not apply functional programming? Because there was this book I was reading, and their approach to a question, they use object oriented programming.
Yeah.
I think it was they were building a battleship basically. So I was going through the code, and it was making sense because most of the things they were doing, they were just using object methods, then using methods basically as their functions.
Yeah.
But where I was getting confused was, okay, I was like, okay, since object-oriented programming and functional programming, they should be the same thing. So I tried, should I say rewriting the code, or try attempting the question using the functional programming method, that's where you're just writing functions. But I don't know, I wasn't getting it. So I just like left the code and then just continued reading it. So I feel like I would really like to understand what object-oriented programming is and when to apply it, like rather than me. Because from what I was reading, they said if you really understand OOP, it would make you a much more better programmer, because that's like, should I say, a much better way, a much better approach to questions than using the functional programming. So that was
Okay.
really what I was trying to grasp it.
Your question now is reminding me of that thing that Ebuka was saying some days ago, that no matter what you're doing in this tech field, just try and learn some computer science, um, a bit of computer science, right? So this OOP versus functional programming thing is more of a computer science, ongoing computer science battle that people keep asking, why go with this, why go with that? I'll be frank with you, I'm not very great on the differences between the two. Like, somehow I just look at situations and it feels, okay, this is an object situation. This is a function situation. For example, now the battleship thing you're thinking of, naturally I would just move towards objects because I see it as instance. Okay, you're all you're trying to do something about an object, a battleship. So it makes more sense to go with objects because at the end of the day, objects will be talking about one thing. You look at the battleship as an object, you break it down, give it these properties, give it these behaviors, which will be the properties and the methods. Um, and let's say those properties would have little, they could also be objects of their own that could do little things. But functions, it's a little more troublesome to make functions relate to a single instance. You see, when you like when we did classes now, you can already imagine it that you could make a class, a battleship class that would have this bunch of it's just taking some parameters that will tell it what kind of battleship it is. But at the end of the day, you see that it's talking about one object battleship. But to make a function do that this function is talking about one object and some part of this function is still relating to that same object that you talked about before. It's a little more difficult than just straight up using classes, objects, that kind of thing. I can't really put it into words, but whatever situation you're working with will determine which way you should go. There are times when OOP is better. There are times when functional programming is better. Of course, with some manipulation, you could make the two work. I see it as kind of like flex and grid. I don't know if you are front end, but we know that a lot of things flex can do, grid can do it too. And a lot of things grid can do, flex can do it too. But there are some situations where they don't need to tell you, this one is a grid thing. Like, you will not stress yourself with grid. And some other situations, they're not supposed to tell you, now flex you're supposed to use. Sure, grid can do it, but you suffer to make it happen with grid. It's easy to do it with flex, but it's hard work to do it with grid. They can get the same place eventually, but which one is easier? Which one is more primed for this situation? I see it as that kind of thing with functional and OOP. So
You're
I
right.
don't know.
I feel like that this basic concept is actually very, very pertinent, like knowing what to use, because JavaScript has a lot of methods, a lot of ways of doing things. Like, okay, sometimes I could come across a question and I'll probably like use a for loop. Then maybe when I'm done with the question, I'll probably check ChatGPT to see how they solve theirs or check through the solutions, other solutions. And I would see probably someone else using like a for each loop or a for off loop or a while loop. So I feel like coming to that point where you can actually know which one to use, like you know that okay, if I use a for loop for
Yeah,
this, it's will not really give me what I want. I should probably use a for off loop, or I should probably use a while loop. So there was one once if I saw a do while loop, I was like, why? Why are you using a
why?
do while loop? But then it's very, very hard concepts. Go help us.
Yeah, actually, for that one, it's more of experience. You keep doing a lot of different situations, and then you begin to see the patterns yourself. Nobody will need to tell you. You begin to see the patterns. Like in this place, I use the for loop, and also not just doing it yourself. That's why I like code wars, because when you do code wars, you struggle, get your answer, and then go and look at other people's answers. That part is very underrated. That going to look at other people's answers. I mean, you know what you were thinking when you came up with your solution. So going to look at other people's solutions, you kind of be like, so you can, instead of me doing it like this, I could have done it like that. Especially if you look at their code, you understand, or at least you believe you understand why they did what they did. And you see some parts that, okay, this is shorter, this could have been, this is probably faster than what I did. This is amazing. Like somebody trying to find, let's say, factors of a number, right? And you see them doing this weird thing where let me say you're looking for factors of 10, right? And they would stop at, it's not factors. Trying to, there's one stuff like that. I've forgotten what it was exactly.
Is it prime?
and was it really prime numbers? I can't remember. The thing was that originally when I did that, I looked through like from 1 to that number. I think it's prime numbers. I looked from 1 to that number, right? But when somebody did theirs, they looked from 1 to the square root of that number. And that was just mind blowing because
Yeah,
I
it's
mean
prime numbers.
I
It's
think
prime
it's prime
numbers.
numbers, right? Yeah. They looked from 1 to okay, yeah. Trying to find if a number is prime and you're trying to divide it by a bunch of things, a bunch of the numbers before it. Yes, yes, yeah, I think it's yeah. Trying to find if a number is prime. At first, I looked from 1, or bit no, from 2, uh, to the number itself. But somebody out there looked from 2 to the square root of the number, and it did make sense because why bother with anything after the square root of the number? It will not divide it, like 120, for example. Anything above whatever the square root of 120 is not going to um, divide it, uh, will I say, easily or without remainder, that kind of thing. So looking around at people's answers will kind of open up your mind a bit to the possibilities that exist. You see other things being used, some methods, some things you don't normally use. You see them being used and you say, okay, this is how people use this kind of thing. That's nice too.
Sorry, I just wanted to ask. Like, I
Yeah.
think what he's trying to say basically, what may have known Harvard, MIT, Open, Oxford, this thing. What they usually say is they need you need to have knowledge of computational thinking before you solve like most of these coding problems. What they want to know is not like they are not really concerned about the language or they see it as a tool. They don't see it as okay, you have to know all the syntax of this language. They see computer science as you knowing how to solve problems rather than you carrying it as okay, you must know this language to solve this problem. There's
Yeah.
one course that I started working. It was Kelani. There's this good Kelani show on Discord. So the guy shared it like 14 years ago, and the lecturer was talking about Python. So he said this course is not really about like, the course of Python, but how you can use Python to solve problems. And once you know how to think, you can actually use the same paradigms to solve other languages. So like I said, in a good place now. Then secondly, I don't know, you're in React devs, Abi, could be.
Yeah.
So you've been seeing this guy that has been entering for the past like 3 days now on about the content skills. I don't know if you've been hearing about it or you've been noticing it.
What guy?
There's someone on React devs. There's someone on React devs. I think he said he has 3 years experience, but his UI is very, very bad. And they've been,
Okay, the guy that did the
they've been working.
portfolio.
Yes, 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 yes. So
Okay,
what
okay.
me I want to how how is it how do you even know that yeah this content is for you or you go to back end straight? Because I've been teaching the guy and I don't even know what to say because I just feel as if no, I don't want myself to be in that kind of situation. I know I'm not trying to brag. I don't want to be that exposed. And I don't want anybody to feel that exposed. So how do you even know if content is for you or you
By
just look to
experiencing the
back
front
end?
end very well now. By experiencing the front end very well.
Because despite
Um,
all the explanation, still you just
evidence no
feel that
day.
so I don't want any of us to experience that kind of thing. So if you know that this content is not it, maybe you should just take that content step. Or I don't know if you can buttress on it.
Okay, well,
Me, I'm
both cases, whether front end or back end, right? One thing is quite constant. You need to be able to solve problems because, contrary to what people think, it's not only back ends that solve problems. There is a lot of logic that goes on in front end. A lot. Yeah, maybe we don't do secure stuff like backends and all that, but there is still a lot of logic that goes on. Problems are being solved in front ends. So you need to be able to solve problems. You need to be able to um, make research on your own to learn how libraries work because you would work with a lot of libraries. And I think mostly these two. But the big difference between front end and back end is that a lot of work in front end is visual, and so it will be judged right off the bat by how it looks. Somebody can build Netflix. It will be as functional as Netflix, but not as fine as Netflix. And I bet you people would troop to Netflix more than that one, just because it's not that fine. That's probably what happened with that guy's work. The guy's work had horrible UI. Like, there's no mincing of words. It was horrible. So it doesn't matter what thought he put into it, what animations, what nobody is caring about. Once they just see that horrible UI, their noses will turn up and their brains will say this is rubbish. That's how visual things happen. If it's something logical, the person should try go through the logic. But the moment there's a bit of visualness brought into it, it starts getting judged by its looks. So that's one thing about front end. You don't really have to be such a creative person that you can tell, this is fine, that's fine. You just need to know how can you find good UIs. Link ups with designers, scouring, Dribble, Behance, Figma to find designs, even pictures you see in sites and all that. Because one trouble you face as a front end is that creativity. Like, you can probably build a lot of things, but what should you build that will be fine? That should be fine aspects should always be in your mind, no matter what you're doing in front end. So if you have the ability to find fine things and build the fine things, I guess front end is for you. If you lack the ability to find fine things, you might as well run away because the streets are not laughing at people and things that are not fine.
thank you. Once you don't know how to do site,
Like I said, you don't have to be the one to generate the fine things yourself. You just need to know how to find the fine things. I guess, and also have the ability to replicate that fine thing. It's not be when you see fine UI, you still go and do nonsense on top. That one, now you do you. So CSS and HTML is still very, very important, even though they will not really add it as much of much of the requirements. But we all know that it's still important. If you don't know how to arrange your HTML, CSS well, you find it difficult to create pixel perfect designs or replications, pixel perfect builds of whatever design you're working with. That's still a problem. So even if you are doing HTML, CSS now, don't feel like you're not doing anything serious. You're building on your future, because at that time, when they ask you, can you do React? You say yes. They will not ask you more questions about HTML because they believe that you should have already known this. So don't go and disappoint yourself and people by jumping into React and not being able to build UI.
Okay, what about that one that they call Tailwind? Is it like I've not done that? I've not used that one before.
So that hackathon we did that time, we did not use Tailwind. People use CSS.
It's CSS, but it's only vanilla CSS I used to use for most of my.
You need to jump into Tailwind though. It's very much available for even for vanilla projects, so you don't get excuse.
Okay. That SAS, is it the same thing as Tailwind?
No, SAS is different.
Okay. What about
SAS
Bootstrap?
is like CSS on steroids.
It says
Tailwind
CSS.
is SAS is CSS on steroids. That's not the actual meaning, Sha. It's just it's kind of like CSS, but it offers a lot more functionality than CSS. Some people like to use it, but you are more likely to see people using Tailwind and seeing them use SAS or SCSS. So I'll still say go for that Tailwind first.
So
Tailwind
what
is
about that?
just
What
Bootstrap.
about the
Uh, Bootstrap is Tailwind that did not make it, did not get there.
I don't
okay,
understand
so
why
the
you get
Tailwind
this,
that they broke
all
now.
this description.
What's that? Okay,
You
Bootstrap
say
was
so
the
that
first
you
one
don't
I
make it.
met. It's Tailwind that did not make it. It did not quite get there. Bootstrap and Tailwind are fairly similar. They both use a class-based system to represent CSS stylings. Okay, so what they do, okay, let's start with Bootstrap. Bootstrap has a lot of stylings that come with it, right out the box. It is possible for you to adjust those stylings, like adding your own, but it's in one kind of weird way that makes it tough, and let's just say you can't. You can know, but it's annoying to do. So Bootstrap comes with some certain responsive styles and all that, responsive classes. For example, you want this thing to be blue. So if you're using Bootstrap, you just add the class, I think primary, BG primary to it, and it will become blue. You have a text you want to be red. You give it the class BG danger. Text danger, and it will be red. But you see now, the limitation of that is that they are giving you red, like RGB FF0000. That's red. That's probably the red they are giving you. If you decide that you want to use FF1234, that's not text danger. You will have to give that class yourself. So now what's the point of the Bootstrap? Yeah. So Bootstrap was a little restrictive in the classes that they gave. And that was the major limitation of Bootstrap, if you ask me. The whole class thing was very nice. You would skip writing CSS. So you would not have to write your HTML and then go over to your CSS and start writing everything. For some things, you will just stay right there in your HTML and make it happen. You have this div. You want it to be flex. You want it to have item center, justify space between. You just start writing. You give it flex class. It's called flex. Item center is for what's that one said? I'm remembering the class more than the styles. Align item center. That's item center. So justify content space between is justify between. You have a certain gap in mind. Let's say 8px. Let's go with gap 2. That kind of thing. But if you wanted specific things, like you want your gap to be 11px, you can't do that with Bootstrap. You would have to go and write the class in CSS. But Tailwind came with, for starters, a lot more classes given to you out of the box and the ability to, on the spot, create new classes. So you have gap 11px you want to do. Obviously, Tailwind doesn't right out the box have gap 11px, but they allow you to write gap dash and in square brackets 11px, and that works. So a lot of if you use Tailwind, you would hardly see the need to go to your CSS file and write something there. A lot of things that you want to do can be done right there with classes in your Tailwind. So that's why people like Tailwind a lot, because right there in your it's like you're only writing HTML. There's almost no need for CSS. It's like you're only writing HTML, so you can just focus inside your HTML file and just be doing your thing going on. No need to split your screen into two to look at HTML and go look at CSS. Just right there, you're doing your thing.
But isn't there a disadvantage?
It's a tailwind.
What I mean is, some persons now who want to pay attention to CSS, like deep, will say, okay, I can use this as an alternative. At the end of it, won't it backfire? Like, you know how they say